Welcome back, everybody, to some more End of a New Beginning, playing as the nation of Germany. It is now 1876. If you didn't see all of the episodes that led up to this point, you can click on a link in the description below. It'll take you back all the way to the beginning. And as always, a big shout out to everyone who is a patron, who is supporting this channel. Everyone at the first lieutenant rank on up is a part of what we call our war cabinet. And I'm always looking for your input as to the direction that we go as a nation. So at the end of this episode, I'll throw out your instructions and how you can go over to Patreon and be a part of that. We are trying to clean things up here in France. We won the war against France and Russia in the last episode, which is why the German Empire now looks really weird because of all the territory we've taken. But now we're trying to deal with what is primarily the British India army that has taken over the parts of France that are now loyal to us. So we're actually fighting from the southwest in a couple directions. We have to fight down into Spain, but also fight north into the British-controlled areas the UK is controlling over here. So we're trying to clean all of this up, establish French supremacy or German supremacy throughout the European continent. We'll start building ourselves a nice Atlantic wall, and then we'll prepare for the eventual invasion of the UK herself. Let's dive in. So as you can see, we're really far behind on Army research. In fact, we're only at 1868 technology. So in order to continue this war effectively, we really need to start researching things like standardized revolvers. We need to get up to Gewehr 71, which is something we should definitely have had by now. So let's go ahead and start researching metal cartridges. You're going to see the bonuses that gives us, and that's going to go on and on. Right now, we are cleaning up the mess here. We're also rushing troops down, along with some help from our Austrian friends, to contain the armies that have actually started moving in. This is almost all British India, but there are some UK units as well that we're dealing with. Well, these are the kinds of things that will be helpful moving forward. A simple engine running on petrol. We're going to invent the petrol engine. That's going to give a 5% speed and range factor bonus to our Navy. Not that we necessarily need it right now, but when it comes time for colonization in Africa, that's certainly going to come in handy. You can see we're starting to clean things up now. We're moving well into the Iberian Peninsula and taking large chunks of Spain. Let's go ahead and take a look and see exactly where Spain is in all of this. We're down almost half, so we're about halfway to conquering them. Really not a lot to speak of as far as what they have available to combat us with. We're definitely competing heavily against India. India, as you can see right here, British India has actually contributed 54% of the war effort. They've only got somewhere between 10 and 39 divisions, but they've got a lot of factories. They've lost 714,000 soldiers in this conflict, which is significantly more than we have. So now we're going to work on our Naval Doctrines, and mobile base means bigger fuel tanks, larger sails, massive crews, everything a ship needs to stay on the ocean for a long time. It's going to give us another 12% bonus to naval max range factor. These are all things that are going to be helpful long term. It's February 1877. You can see now we're starting to take some of our French territory back. I think there's very little opposition left in these regions that we've been facing. We do need to continue on our national focuses, and right now we're actually working on the economy. Siemens AG becomes available as an employable company. I think we're going to go ahead and build Deutsche Bank. It's going to give us a 5% construction speed bonus. The war, you can see here, on our side, 259,000 casualties out of a fielded manpower of 1.19 million. Fielded manpower on the opposite side is about a third of what we have, and they've lost almost, look at that, 1.25 million losses and a fielded manpower of under 500,000. That's just incredible to fathom. All right, the Treaty of Panfarada. Looks like we're going to be able to conquer Spain. We could liberate to Carlist Spain. We could liberate Spain to Puerto Rico, or I guess that would actually just liberate Puerto Rico, which we're going to do. Well, no, we're not going to liberate all of that to Puerto Rico. Is there anything in particular that we would want on the Iberian Peninsula? Because I feel like there's probably not. We could satellite this kingdom here, the kingdom of Carlist Spain. Navarre, Aragon, Catalonia, and the Balearic Islands. Satellite the Sultanate of Sulu. I don't know where that is, but that's cool. Liberate the Captaincy General of the Philippines. So we're going to satellite the Philippines. We're going to satellite Puerto Rico. We could puppet Spain. I think we'll do that. We can liberate. Now, see, that'll liberate all of that to Puerto Rico. I don't want to do that. Puppet the rest, or just puppet that part anyway. Let's end that turn. What's that leave? It leaves a lot of stuff left. Oh, these are decisions that are tough to make, you know? So I guess for now we take all the states, but honestly, I'm not sure that's how I want to leave this. We could give them to somebody else. I mean, we could let Austria deal with some of this, I guess. We could let the Philippines have some of it. I don't know. So I thought about it further, and the reason I decided to go ahead and take some of Spain is I thought, boy, won't it be nice to have that access to the Mediterranean easily? I mean, we already have some access to the Mediterranean, but to be that close to Africa when it comes time for that. But what we're going to end up doing is once this is all cleared up, at the end of this episode, one of the things I'm going to pose to the War Cabinet is a question about whether or not we should liberate or otherwise dispose of some of the territories we're holding, because we're holding an awful lot of territory, and it's really going to stretch my armed forces pretty thin if I have to hold a bunch of pretty hostile territory that I'm going to have to garrison in order to keep them from rioting and revolting and things like that. So I'll probably pose a specific question at the end of this episode to you guys about how I should deal with some of those things. All right, well, it's March 1877, and the European continent is almost completely secure now. We've got just this little area under British control that we're very quickly going to deal with down here around Toulon and Nice. Monaco's right down there in the corner, but Monaco is staying friendly and neutral at the moment. So we'll very quickly drive off the last of these British India troops. But at that point, the war is still a status quo because we haven't conquered the United Kingdom, Canada, Jamaica, Nepal, New Zealand, British India, and all of these other foreign places that we really just can't get to right now. Here's the world power projection at this point. 2508 for the German Empire. UK second at 1764. Nobody else is even close. The Ottomans, Brazilians, the French, who are an ally to me now. The United States is a pretty weak power, as is Austria at this point, surprisingly. And remember, the United States is divided because they lost the American Civil War to the Confederate States, who actually still have a very aged at this point Jefferson Davis as their leader. We could go to war with them, but there's really nothing that could be gained by that, and we can't invite them to the faction because they certainly would not accept. I don't think we're in a position for us to coup them. I don't know if we can do that for anybody like the United States either. It doesn't appear we can. There's not a lot to be gained by dealing with anything over on the American continent right now. All right, we've completed the Deutsche Bank economic national focus. Now we're going to go ahead and do this one here, which is going to give us a 3% bonus to research. Then Social Security comes next, which gives us a plus 5% base stability and a change in the popularity of social egalitarianism. And then workers' rights, which is going to replace the 12-hour workday with a 10-hour workday. And it's going to do a number of things that will benefit my country long term. And then we'll work down the industrial empire over here. All right, looks like there have been a bunch of treaties passed with us and Griqualand East, but then they immediately jumped back in the war. So all those white pieces that we just signed apparently were completely meaningless. Our enemy's fielded manpower is next to nothing. It's an obvious loss for them as far as a war goes. But the way the game engine works, you can't sue for peace in a war that's considered a status quo, even though we've just completely devastated them, and they're in no position whatsoever to do anything about it. I think I might be able to get close to British India if I could just get access. Russia's a puppet. So if we could just get through Afghanistan and maybe Bukhara, then we could get access to British India. But I don't know that's going to be possible. Yeah, it doesn't appear likely. I don't think China's going to let us do it either. We could start improving relations. Oh, they won't even accept an attaché. Let's start by improving relations, and then maybe eventually they will accept one. All right, we researched metal cartridges. So that's important because now we can go the next step, which is to get the enhanced firearm research in it's 1872 technology, another bonus to soft attack, and then the very next one's going to get us new weapons that we'll be able to start producing for our military. People are always superstitious, and the appearance of a comet in the German sky has caused a panic in our country. Our population is convinced this is a bad sign. I could say it's an omen. I guess it doesn't really matter what I say. We're going to lose 1% stability no matter what. I wish I lived in more enlightened times. Let's go ahead and do that. All right, national focus, Social Security. That'll get us back that stability we lost and then some. Trying to get a little more Navy here. It just doesn't appear like I'm at all able to establish naval supremacy. You can look, my friendly supremacy is at least maybe 50% to 100% or even more than theirs. I mean, 89-15 right now for me, 26 to 56 for him. I have 92 friendly ships in the region, and yet somehow we're not able to establish supremacy. And it seems to have something to do with the intel efficiency, which is 0.30%. So I don't know how to improve intel. And it says it depends on what kind of mission it's running. So I could try different missions, but it doesn't seem to impact at all. I've tried just about every mission. I've tried strike force, convoy raiding. We could try that for a little bit and see what that does. It doesn't appear to do anything. I've tried convoy escort. I've tried naval invasion support. Nothing seems to do the trick. Maybe one of you has the answer to that. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and do imperialism now. It's a 5% bonus to construction speed, but more importantly, it opens the door to colonial ambitions, which we're going to need at some point. And when I played as the United States, we actually had to go in and do a little cheat to override that because it seems that part of the game is not quite ready. Remember, this is a mod that is well underway, but has a long way to go as far as being fully developed. The eventual goal is they'll have enough content to take you all the way to the year 2050. Really, most of the content right now for many of the nations goes up to about 1880, 1890. We're kind of getting near the end of that for this right now. So a lot of those things aren't worked out and need to be kind of worked around. All right, so in order to be able to move the story along, since we're at a war that basically can't be moved along anyway, one way or the other, I'm going to go ahead and do a little manipulating of the game a little bit to kind of do what would probably happen rationally in this situation. So I've gone ahead and changed the rules a bit so that these nations that I'm at war with will accept a white peace. And I'm going to go ahead and send that along to all of the various nations. So they'll accept a white peace. We'll go back to a state of peace, and we can kind of figure out where we are in the world at this point. Okay, there we go. The United Kingdom has accepted our offer of peace. Fighting has ceased between our nations. Now we're getting a non-aggression pact from Puerto Rico and one from Spain as well. Let's go ahead and see if there's anybody else we still need to offer such peace toward, because obviously we're still at war with... How are we at war with Austria? And now UK is on our side. I'm not entirely sure how that happened, but obviously that's not going to work. So we're going to go ahead and deal with all of this. I guess we're in an edit mode somehow. So we'll go in and deal with this. We'll fix all of this. We'll get everybody at peace, and then we'll move on with the game. Well, apparently part of making peace means that we had to liberate Poland. So we've liberated Poland. We've got a bunch of new decisions available to us now, though, because now that we're at peace, we can attempt to buy Heligoland. So we're going to go ahead and do that. We can increase our autonomy if we so choose. We've got the war in sight crisis. that we could try to defuse. Oh, that's back with the UK and Russia again. So obviously we don't really want to do any of that right now. Stabilize the nation. Yeah, I think we'll go ahead and do that. We can't quite advance to the machine era until 1880. I think we'll have everything researched that we need to when we get to that point. What will we offer to the United Kingdom in exchange for Heligoland? Offer them favorable political treaties or offer them industrial compensation? Well, let's try political treaties. That seems like it would hurt less. Okay, disaster. What is this? What began as protests by radicals in Paris has escalated into armed revolt, an attempt by the central government to remove artillery pieces from Paris for use by the army incited great unrest among the people who feared for the city's defense. Armed soldiers under one of our generals were sent to seize them by force, but a mob made up of civilians and local militia stopped them. The soldiers, deeply infiltrated by radicals, mutinied and took their officers hostage. The unrest is spreading throughout the city, with the populace calling for the establishment of a commune organized according to the ideals of Karl Marx. Lovely. France declared war on the Commune of Paris. There's a tiny little civil war going on in France. I think they'll be able to handle that just fine. The United Kingdom has refused to sell the island of Heligoland to us. Well, it's a pity. This is not the only way to acquire this island, for sure. Let's take a look and see if there's any other option to us right now. Yeah, let's go ahead and defuse this crisis. I don't want to go to war with anybody for a little while. We've been at war for quite a long time now. So I got a notification that the German reserves demobilized, and I figured it wasn't a big deal. I'd lose a few divisions. I didn't think it was going to take my army down to 30 divisions, because that's exactly what it did. The good news is we've got 105 factories, which is double what the UK has. We've got triple the population that they have, and we've got about a third the size of the Navy that they have now. So I'm really not too worried. It's just a little frustrating. All that work that I put into building the Navy is now gone. But the good news is now we've got a whole, or not the Navy, the Army. But the good news is now we've got a ton of available equipment that I can go ahead and start using to build the Army back up again. It's just a little disappointing that that happened, but not something I can't overcome. However, this is concerning. That little Paris commune is slowly taking over all of France. So we may be seeing a socialist revolution in France that might take some time to overcome. Well, this is nice. One of our wealthiest aristocrats in the country has funded a project to expand the local infrastructure in one of our states. Since our country is in a phase of rapid industrialization, we were able to realize his plans with a bit of additional funding quite quickly. So it's just one infrastructure, but hey, every little bit helps. There's workers' rights. So we're going to go ahead down this thread now as well. We're going to start doing some more research, continue to work on our infrastructure. I wanted to go in and help France out, but it doesn't appear I'm able to anymore. So unfortunately, they may fall prey to the Paris Commune and become a socialist nation, which would once again create a threat on our western border. Well, apparently we don't currently have a strong heir, so we're going to have to deal with that as we get into 1878. We're going to go ahead and do the searching for an heir decision. Oh, no, didn't mean to do that. I just accidentally, when that popped up, it suddenly bumped out look for an heir, and now I'm encouraging German centrism for some reason. No, we're going to make sure the heir is valid. Let us be careful. Beyond that, fight for our independence. I'm not entirely sure why I need a struggle for independence. I am the German Empire, for goodness sake. We could do the Kiel Canal preparation. I think it's Kiel. We have to research that, but then we'll be able to do it. So we'll go ahead and look for that technology to make that happen, because we do control the territory to be able to make that happen. So here's where that is. That's in special projects, which is, of course, where we can also eventually do things like nuclear research. I'm just looking down the road. Quantum theories available at some point, photon theories, theory of relativity, and all of that eventually leads to things like nuclear weapons. But we're well away from that right now. We're also 2 years ahead of time on that technology. So a lot of things are going to happen in 1880, like the canal, like being able to move to the next age, which makes some significant changes. That's the machine era, and that'll make some significant changes to how things happen as far as ramping up the Industrial Revolution. And of course, then we have flight down the road as well. But that's all in the future at the moment. Okay, so I think what happened was that when I made that declaration of peace with the United Kingdom, I must have been considered to have lost that war, which is why I lost some territory in some different places, like right here, Poland, for example, because that's why the whole freedom thing is coming into being, because I'm showing as a supervised state, which means I can't declare wars, I can't decline to a call to war. I don't know who I'm supervised by, but that's also why I was no longer able to do things like help out France, who is now the Paris Commune. So I guess I must have lost all my puppets. It looks like we're still we're no longer even in a faction with Russia. Russia was my puppet at that point. So I guess that kind of took away from what I was thinking it would do. But it's neither here nor there. It just gives us more of a challenge moving forward that we can kind of deal with. I'm not sure why we can't do the Gewehr 71. Oh, we need lever actuators first. Okay, so we've got to go down here because there's some things we haven't researched somewhere. We got to find where those are. Where are the lever actuators? We're going to have to get up to newer uniforms as well. Is that what this is here? Yep. So we've got to do that first, and then we can do the Gewehr 71s. So that's the situation in terms of all that. We're going to have to go ahead then and make that decision that's going to get us to increase our autonomy and fight for our independence. Let's go ahead and do the Carnival while we're at it. That's cool. We're still the most powerful nation on Earth. Just we're apparently a supervised state in the meantime. Let's look at our occupied territories. We have territory that belongs to Russia over here. We have territory that belongs to France. We have territory that belongs to the Kingdom of Italy. Territory that belongs to Spain, Belgium, and even some that belongs to Portugal. So that's what we have right now. It doesn't seem necessarily that we should be giving up any of that. But my question is to our patrons out there who are a part of the War Cabinet. Here's your question for today. If and when we are able once again to declare war, and we need to try and gain some of our territory back, we've now got the Paris Commune to the west. We've got Russia in the east. We've even got Austria, which seems to be a natural ally, and I believe is, in fact, still part of our dual alliance. So let's really talk about the Paris Commune. Let's talk about Russia. When we're able to, should we start thinking about expansion or neutralization of Paris Commune, Russia, both, or neither? Should we stay at peace? So I'm going to pose that question over on Patreon to all of the members of the War Cabinet. Please go over there and vote and let your 2 cents be heard. I will abide by whatever the cabinet decides. If it does, end up a tie vote, I'll make this decision between the two that have been tied. But go ahead over there and vote and let me know what you think and help me with the direction that we go. I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up right here. If you would drop a like, leave a comment, and subscribe if you haven't already, I would greatly appreciate that. We will see you again soon with another episode. Thanks for watching.